Welcome to the Win Streaks preview and prediction of all 32 NFL teams for the upcoming 2017 season. Over the next few weeks, I will be covering all 32 teams, so please subscribe on YouTube or the podcast platform you're listening on so you don't miss an episode. My name is Corey Foister. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Corey Foister. Follow the show on social media. That is Twitter at WinStreak News, Facebook.com/TheWinStreak, TheWinStreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Soaring Jets Production. If you're listening right now on YouTube, drop me a comment below. Contact us at soaringjetproductions@gmail.com or thewinstreak.com/contact. Join our fantasy football league. You can find out more information about that on our official Facebook page and on our website. Top 10 Super Bowl matchups we want to see is our latest Top 10 episode. And also, if this is the first time you've ever listened to anything that the Win Streak has done, check out my weekly sports wrap-up podcast. We have a lot of fun. Me and my co-host Brandon Myers, we have just a ball. We cover anything football, hockey, baseball, basketball, soccer. It's just a crazy fun time. But today, I am doing team number 19, the 2017 Houston Texans preview and prediction episode. This is Houston's 16th season in the NFL, fourth under head coach Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is 27-21 in his regular season record is, and 1-2 in playoff games. General manager is Rick Smith, and the owner is Bob McNair. Houston beat the Super Bowl host curse in 2016 and made the playoffs. Texans finished 9-7, good for first in the AFC South, beat the Oakland Raiders 27-14, though Oakland Raider fans would want me to remind everybody that Derek Carr, their starting quarterback, and now one of the best paid NFL players in the league, was hurt for that playoff game in the wild card round, but would lose 16-34 to the New England Patriots and eventual Super Bowl champions in the divisional rounds. They had one Pro Bowler. I found this pretty shocking. They only had one Pro Bowler, Clowney. The Texans have finished 9-7 for 3 straight seasons. Texans finished tied with the Tennessee Titans, but won the tiebreaker based on record versus divisional opponents. 2016 season marked the first time in franchise history that the Texans swept the Indianapolis Colts. First time the Texans defense was ranked number 1 in the league despite losing star defensive end J.J. Watt for most of the season. Defense only allowed 20.5 points per game and only 301.3 yards per game. Won 7 home games in 2016, losing only to the then San Diego Chargers at home 13-21. They were 2-6 on the road, but that's really impressive to think that they almost went undefeated at home. I mean, all it took was just another touchdown, and they would have touchdown and go for the 2-point conversion there. They could have possibly had an undefeated season at home, but they were awful on the road. The Houston Texans are one of 4 teams to never appear in a Super Bowl. Texans were founded in 2002, making them the youngest franchise in the NFL. So it's not too bad. I mean, you've only been around since 2002, and you haven't been in a Super Bowl. That's not bad. I mean, even the Jaguars, that's not bad. The Jaguars were founded, I believe, in 95. But then you got the Lions and the Browns. It's been around forever, and it's like you really should be at least made a Super Bowl appearance by now. They have 4 division championships, 2011, 2012, 2015, 2016. Texans never made the playoff via the wild card, so 4 playoff appearances overall. And Forbes ranks the Texans as the 9th most valuable franchise in the NFL. The Texans franchise as a whole is trending upward. They really struggled the early 2000, really the whole 2000 decade. they did not do too well. But now they got a complete team for the most part. They just have to find that franchise quarterback. Moving on to franchise what if. What if the 2016 Texans had a true quarterback with someone like Big Ben or Aaron Rodgers with that defense? It could have easily been the Texans coming back on the Falcons in that Super Bowl back in February. And also, what if the Oilers stayed in Houston? Obviously, there would be no Houston Texans because there wouldn't be need for another team in Houston. But it would have been interesting to see how the Oilers would have done if the Oilers would have finally made it to a Super Bowl, or they would pretty much, not to be hard on the Houston Oilers, but the Oilers were not really a good franchise. They've done a lot more better since moving to Tennessee. So the breakup seemed to benefit both sides in this, because you got now the Houston Texans, a pretty impressive team. I'd say already the Texans have pretty much done more than what the Oilers did in 40 years in Houston. And for Tennessee, hey, you finally got a NFL team. Moving on to 2017 outlook, Texans have been really consistent under Bill O'Brien. 3 straight seasons finishing 9-7. You gotta like that, especially in a weak AFC South. But even in a weak AFC South, you're winning that 9-7, not 7-9. So I can't take anything away from the Houston Texans, because nobody took anything away from Peyton Manning when he was beaten up on a weak AFC South as well. You can't, praise one side and then punish the other side. So I'm not taking nothing away from the Texans. A lot of people want to say, oh, well, you're in the weakest division in the NFL, and I don't even believe that's the case. I think the Colts are definitely on the decline. Who knows about Aaron Rodgers? Jaguars, I'm not buying into that preseason hype, but I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be right there with the Houston Texans trying to win that division, because they were almost there. They were a surprise team. They almost snuck into the playoffs last year. The Texans have had 8 different quarterbacks in 3 years. That pretty much highlights why the Texans have not been to a AFC championship. You can't go through 8 different quarterbacks in 3 years and wind up beating Tom Brady or the Steelers or the Chiefs or really anybody with a star quarterback. The constant quarterback turnover hasn't stopped the Texans from competing in the mostly weak AFC South, but it has prevented them from going further in the playoff, where you need a quarterback, and who your quarterback is matters. The Texans drafted Deshaun Watson in the first round. I like that pick. He's a coin flip. This is the last year Texans fans were celebrating the offseason signing of quarterback Brock Osweiler. It's crazy to think that just last year that was going on. The Texans did the right move by cutting their losses with Osweiler. I think Osweiler could be a decent to almost good quarterback, but he was not worth that contract. You had to unload him. That contract was just insane to give that contract, and it makes the Denver Broncos, and John Elway look pretty smart for not signing that huge contract with Brock Osweiler. But they paid the Cleveland Browns to take him off their hands. Osweiler's departure saved the Houston Texans $16 million in cash and $10 million in salary cap. So I love the move, because Osweiler, like I said, decent quarterback. I think he could maybe even be a good quarterback, but he's never going to be worth Peyton Manning type money. That's like Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers like money. That was just an insane contract. They should have never signed him to that huge contract. Houston made the right move by drafting Deshaun Watson. This franchise desperately needs a franchise quarterback, and they showed you that by giving up all those picks to get Deshaun Watson. Like I said, it's 50-50 if he's going to turn out. He's definitely a project. He's not going to be ready right from the start. But same what the franchise did last year by signing Osweiler to a huge contract. This is a franchise that is desperate to find somebody, a quarterback that can finally lead them because they haven't. I mean, Matt Schaub is probably the only franchise quarterback they ever had, and Schaub wasn't even that good. So they're a franchise that is still looking for a quarterback to lead them to the promised land. If they had somebody like Aaron Rodgers, like Ben Roethlisberger, I believe the Houston Texans would probably be right up there with the New England Patriots. They would be up there with the New England Patriots, favored to go to a Super Bowl. Biggest negative change for me, the Texans lost two defensive backs in free agency. Houston, which ranked second in pass defense, saw safety Quentin Demps leave for Chicago and cornerback A.J. Boyle go to rival Jacksonville. Texans have no clear candidate to replace neither one of these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's always hard. I can't remember the last time a NFL team had the number one defense, came back the next season and had the number one defense yet again. So the defense, it's probably a safe bet to say they're going to decline because it's hard to stay number one in anything, especially in the NFL. Bill O'Brien, I say his job is completely safe. Like I said, he's consistent. 2 out of the last 3 years, they've made the playoff. You really can't say nothing about it, about him really negatively. I say the Houston Texans went further than anybody thought they would last season, and they gave the Patriots a run for the money because let's be honest, the 2016 playoff games were really awful. They were a lot of awful blowout games, and the Texans, you could honestly argue, gave a better performance than any other team outside the Falcons to the New England Patriots. So I say Bill O'Brien is safe. Texans will depend heavily on the defense to make it back to the playoffs, but offense has to take a step up. They will get they'll get a quick boot from the playoffs. Preseason at Carolina to play the Panthers, home for the New England Patriots, at New Orleans to play the Saints, and then to end the preseason, home for the Dallas Cowboys. And that'd be the last game that Ezekiel Elliott can play for, well, quite a while. Moving on to Texans regular season game by game prediction. The Texans have 4 primetime games this season. At Cincinnati on NFL Network, Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, at Baltimore to play the Ravens on Monday Night Football, and Pitt home for the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. Like always, worst case, best case scenario, you open up September 10th, home for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Seeing that the Houston Texans went 7-1 at home last year, I'm going to give this game to the Houston Texans. I'm not buying the preseason hype around the Jaguars. They always seem to tease but never deliver. And I just think the Texans are a better team, even if Bortles finally breaks out of his shell and become this elite quarterback that some people thought he would become. September 14th, a quick turnaround. You have to travel all the way to Cincinnati. Worst case scenario, you lose this game just because if anything else, you have such a short window of time to prepare, and then you're the traveling team to go to Cincinnati. Best case scenario, you win this game. The defense gives Andy Dalton a hard time. The offense does just enough to get the win. September 24th at New England to play the Patriots. Worst case, best case, I say you lose this game. I say you'll probably give the Patriots the best run for their money out of probably almost any home team or any home game that the Patriots play this year, besides maybe the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Patriots are going to be really hard, and the reason why I just don't like the Texans in this game, one, it's hard to play in Foxborough and win, and two, you go from at Cincinnati to at New England, and that's 10 days off right there, 11 days off actually, and I just don't like that. I think it might be too much rest, and it's just another road game right off the bat. Going into October, I say worst case scenario, you are 1-2. Best case scenario, you are 2-1. October 1st, home for the Tennessee Titans. I say the Tennessee Titans are going to be really good this year, but worst case, best case, I say you actually beat the Tennessee Titans. October 8th, home for the Chiefs. Worst case scenario, you lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have been one of the better team in the AFC the last couple of years, thanks to Alex Smith's revival and also Andy Reid. But best case scenario, you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are hard to play at their place, but on the road, they're so-so. October 15th, home yet again to play the Cleveland Browns. Best case, worst case, I say the Browns are going to be better this year, but you should beat the Cleveland Browns. Then you have a bye week, and then the only travel game, the only road game of October is at Seattle, which I don't have you winning. Playing in Seattle, it's been well documented that is a hard stadium to play at. So worst case scenario going into November, I have you at 3-4. Best case scenario, I have you at 5-2. November 5th to play the Colts. I say best case, worst case, you win this game, even if Andrew Luck is playing. I'm starting to think maybe Andrew Luck, he might miss this game. Who knows if he's coming back this year? There's a big question mark about where Andrew Luck stands at this very moment as I record this on August 14th. November 12th at Los Angeles to play the Rams. Worst case, you lose this game. Best case, you win this game. You should beat the Los Angeles Rams, but just one of those weird games. November 19th, home for the Arizona Cardinals. Best case, worst case, I say you beat the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not buying that the Arizona Cardinals bounce back. Larry Fitzgerald, Carson Palmer, a lot of these guys have aged. They're aging quickly on the Cardinals roster. And I just don't believe that every old player on that roster is going to bounce back and play at their peak. November 27th at Baltimore to play the Baltimore Ravens. Worst case, best case, I say you actually lose this game unless Joe Flacco is not playing. If Flacco's out, then I totally give you the W here in Baltimore. So going into December, making a playoff push here, I have you at worst 5-6, at best 8-3. At Tennessee, December 3rd to play the Tennessee Titans. Worst case, best case, I don't see you winning that game. December 10th, 49ers. The 49ers are rebuilding. I love what they did in the draft. I think they made a good pick at head coach and at general manager, but I just don't think it's time for the 49ers to start pulling off victories against solid teams like the Texans. So you should definitely win that game. December 17th at Jacksonville. Best case, worst case, I say you beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. December 25th, the hardest game, I would say, of the season, and maybe your hardest home game, I should say, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Worst case, best case, in my scenario, I don't see you beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's going to be a great game to watch on Christmas. December 31st, the final game, you finish at Indianapolis. I say best case, worst case, you lose to the Indianapolis Colts. The only reason I say that is I believe that the Houston Texans will probably have either the division wrapped up or they won't be playing for anything other than pride, because I just don't see two AFC South teams representing in the Super Bowl, or not in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs. I just don't see it happening. The AFC, even the NFC, I believe both divisions you're probably going to need about 10, 11, maybe even 12 wins to get a wild card. So best case scenario for the Houston Texans, I have 10-6. Worst case scenario, 7-9. My final prediction, I'll go with best case scenario. I think that the Houston Texans are going to best their last 3 seasons and win one more game and go 10-6. The Texans have a solid chance at the playoff if this defense stays top notch. And 2 games against the Jacksonville Jaguars, that Bengals game is a big opportunity. If you go into Foxborough and beat the New England Patriots, then that's boom, I say you're a playoff lock right there. Titans, if you split with that, that'd be good. The Chiefs are going to be really hard. At Seattle is going to be deadly hard. But the Browns offer a good win chance right there. The two against the Colts, the LA Rams. The Rams are not good. I believe the Cardinals have a lot of age on them. Baltimore, who knows who's going to be starting under center for the Baltimore Ravens come November 27th. 49ers, like I said, 49ers and Browns are two of the worst teams in the NFL. Steelers is going to be a really tough game, but there's enough on that schedule. Even if worst case scenario happens, I could almost see I have 7-9, but I could see 8-8, and then also I could see 11-5. But I'm going to go with 10-6 for the Houston Texans for the upcoming 2017 season. Once again, my name is Corey Foister. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Corey Foister. Follow the show on social media. That is Twitter at Winstreak News, Facebook.com/TheWinstreak, TheWinstreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Soaring Jets Production. Like I said, please leave a comment below if you are listening on YouTube. I would love to hear from you and hear what you think about the upcoming Texan season. What would you say is your final prediction for them this season? Contact us at either soaringJetsProduction@gmail.com or thewinstreak.com/contact. Join our fantasy football league. You can find out more information about that on our Facebook page. Top 10 Super Bowl matchups we want to see is now live. And once again, please check out our weekly wrap-up show. It's a lot of fun. Me and my co-host Brandon Myers. I say we'll make you laugh. Either we make you laugh or your money back. But you don't have to pay anything, so there's no money back. But anyway, until next time, keep winning, everybody.